Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crystal Ballin. This is my NFC Championship game special game preview. We've got the 49ers and the Lions coming up on Sunday. I am so hyped. I have an amazing guest joining me, but he's going to be on in a few minutes. Just want to do a little bit of a rant, let's say, because you guys have seen everything that's been going on in the media, all the pundits talking about Brock Purdy. He's been the topic, the discussion. I mean, last week it was there are 7 good quarterbacks, 7 terrific quarterbacks in the NFL. And then there's Brock Purdy. That was a lady that used to work for the Las Vegas Raiders, which, Las Vegas, shout out. We've got the Super Bowl there. I'm so excited. I don't know if you guys know, but I am planning to go to the Super Bowl, not actually to the Super Bowl, but to the Super Bowl in Vegas, just be in the atmosphere and all that if the Niners make it. So I kind of have a lot riding on this game, not just like your regular bets and everything. I'm like big time going to be on my phone booking my flight from Italy to Las Vegas if we win. So no pressure, no pressure. But I do want to say last year, he was America's sweetheart, the little runt of the litter who a family decided to bring home last minute while already taking home another dog. But just in case the dog peed all over everything and shit the bed, literally, they wanted to have this cute little guy as the backup just in case. Maybe we'll give away the first dog to our auntie in Las Vegas. The cat that we traded up for, like we gave away our turtle. We ended up with this cat. He didn't really work out, so we sent him to Dallas. So we decided to go with this little guy just in case, He ends up coming through, and he's literally the dog of the century. He's broken all the records in the NFL, like literally broke our franchise record for the 49ers past Jeff Garcia. Incredible. And yet he's still taking all this flack from people. There are people, cough, Ryan Clark, who are saying guy doesn't deserve. He had a hard time talking about him when he was in the MVP conversation. And what do you know? There he is. There's 5 guys on the MVP list, and Brock Purdy's right there alongside CMC, which I absolutely love. So he's this happy, humble dude. He hasn't done anything to piss people off, I would say. He's the underdog story. There's a reason I wanted to choose the dog analogy, because he's literally this cute little puppy dog that got his chance. And I think there's a lot of people out there who can resonate with that, myself being one of them, where, you're coming through, you're trying to chase your dreams and everything, and some obstacles get in the way. But this Swiss cheese effect happens that somehow gives you your chance. And that's what's happened to Brock Purdy. Now, he isn't a puppy, obviously. He was the last pick in the draft. I was there in Las Vegas when it happened. I was so excited. I'm like, why are they choosing a quarterback? This is kind of weird. But obviously, looking back now, I'm like, thank God we had him on our roster, because Sam Darnold would not have been it. We didn't even have him at the time, but he would not have been it. 2 NFC Championship games in his first 2 seasons. Brock Purdy is the guy nobody wanted. And now we can sit here and say, oh, okay, he's given all this talent around him. Obviously, he's going to succeed. These are superstars that are elevating him, right? That's obviously what's going on. They're carrying him. All right. So the 49ers became the first team in NFL history to have a running back, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end to all hit over 1,000 all-purpose yards in a single season. But clearly, they were throwing the ball to themselves. Brandon Ayuk talked candidly about Purdy this week, too. He said, he's the reason I'm sitting here today feeling like I have an opportunity this weekend to play my best football because we have a quarterback like him. He's also made a point to shut down the yak critics out there who claim that Purdy's our main it. He's not doing much, because the yards after the catch obviously are what's going on with these receivers. Ayuk verified that the yak is actually quarterback stat too. He said, Purdy gets us the ball on time so we can do what we can after we catch the ball. It takes the quarterback to get you the ball on time so you can transition and turn plays into bigger plays. This is just a taste of what one of his receivers has been saying this past week leading up to the NFC Championship game. Another one of his louder receivers, Deebo Samuel, has been showing up for Purdy all season. He even rocked the hell out of a Kristen Juszczyk designed Purdy puffer vest with the words MVP scattered all throughout that beautiful puffy roll. Brock Purdy led the NFL in multiple categories this season. He's actually the reason why he's made the MVP list, alongside players like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, and his very own running back, Christian McCaffrey. Now, there can be an argument made for CMC being the reason that Purdy's been so successful as well. He makes up our entire offense. How could you lose with him, right? Last weekend's game against Green Bay, CMC made up for 36% of the 49ers offense. That's a pretty big number. Considering football is a team sport, you want to throw off defenses. Kyle Shanahan's the genius that he is. obviously you want to toss the ball, but you also want to run it. Of course, CMC is going to play a pretty big role in each game. That being said, guess how many yards, or guess how much Aaron Jones contributed to his offense? 35%. So that's a 1% difference. And yet Jordan Love has been praised for his game against San Francisco, where Purdy has been shit on. Keep the same energy. That's all I ask. I also think that Love is a great quarterback. He'll only get better. He's going to give us hell for the longest time. I honestly think that he's just going to be one of those guys that we're going to come down to. It's like that Aaron Rodgers situation that we had when we were playing Green Bay, you know? And I love that, pun intended. But if you're going to knock Purdy for all of the above and his almost interceptions, then maybe knock Love for the 2 that he did have to Dre Greenlaw. Now, please give Purdy a little bit of credit for the fantastic game-winning drive that he had. Even the elites of football past have had bad games. It's just how it is. Like, as long as you can turn it around and get the dub, I think that's what should matter, especially when you're in a round where it's knockout round, everything do or die. That's what it is. So I was kind of talking to my dad about this earlier. We went on a walk here, and he was telling me how the Canucks are kind of like, they have one bad game, and the coach kind of put down Pettersson and was saying that, oh yeah, he was the weakest link. Everybody that was in the media started to run with that, twisted his words a little bit, and started saying, oh, the Canucks are this, that. Obviously, the coach doesn't have any confidence in him, blah, blah, blah. This happens all the time. I could go on and on and on about Brock Purdy, but like literally everybody in the media has something to say about him, whether it's good, whether it's bad. I really appreciated some of the guys sticking up for him this week, like Richard Sherman, Emmanuel Acho, and my guy, Pat McAfee. There's another sports broadcaster who's been on the Purdy train, and he's actually my next guest. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say about the NFC Championship game and also about Brock Purdy, because those haters, they need to listen to the guys that know what they're talking about. They need to listen to the former players. They need to listen to my next guest. So he spends his time on air with the lovely Kay Adams and is the producer of the Up and Adams show for FanDuel TV. He's a quarterback coach. He's the host of The Breakdown on KC Sports Network. And he's previously worked on Good Morning Football and even did some scouting for the Detroit Lions. Everyone, please give a mini cheer to Matt Hamilton.
What's up? Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, thank you for joining me. Sorry about the rant that I went on. Honestly, it's been killing me, and I haven't done this in a while. So I'm like, I have to say something. I have to stick up for him, obviously.
No, I felt the same way. It seems like everybody's just waiting for him to make a mistake so they can pile on and justify all their terrible opinions that they've had of him all along the way. And it's just, I don't understand why he's such a target. I don't know if it's because the 49ers are, a team that a lot of fan bases like to get on because they've been so successful, or just I really don't understand it, because you're right. It should be this lovable story that we're all embracing. And for some reason, he's so polarizing.
I know. So you've obviously done some draft scouting and everything too. Do you think it has anything to do with people missing on him in the draft?
That could definitely be a part of it, for sure. People want to justify their opinions of players and don't like to admit when they were wrong. I was but that's the thing, is everybody's wrong. Scouting is not an exact science. I was wrong about Patrick Mahomes. I'll say that. I didn't love him coming out and the system he was coming from. And, the NFL has evolved in the way that quarterbacks transition from college to the NFL now. It's not the same as it was 10 years ago, and our opinions have to evolve along with that. And if you're not willing to admit when you're wrong about stuff, you get stuck in these positions where, you're rooting against players just because you were wrong about them, which doesn't seem fair to me.
It seems really sad to me, but I mean, it is what it is. We live in an age that, everybody has their opinion on social media. Unfortunately, it's not like the Joe Montana days, where he did have bad games and people didn't get to focus on it the same way because they don't have the cell phone to go on there and just rant about whatever they want with their quarterback, right? So it is what it is. I guess we have to take it with a grain of salt. You have a pretty packed schedule with everything that you're doing in the industry. And before we totally get into talking about your Lions and everything, I'd love to hear about your journey. So where did it all begin and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so it's been kind of a strange path to get to this point, to be honest. I didn't really expect to be in media. I was student coaching at Missouri with the quarterbacks. So I was working with, it was Chase Daniel at the time as a starting quarterback, and learned the game there. watching so much film every single day, getting to work with guys like him and Blaine Gabbert, and guys that
So cool.
have a lot of talent. And I was lucky to get to be around those guys and soak everything up. And Chase is a genius. You see everything he's doing now too in media and absolutely crushing it. But getting to be around a genius like that, was able to learn so much. And through the years, went to NFL Films from there, made the stop, as you mentioned, scouting with the Lions. It was at NFL Films, was doing a lot on the X's and O side of TV. So working on a show called Playbook that they had at NFL Network at the time. And, from there, Good Morning Football, and just put my head down and, very fortunate, feel very lucky to have landed at FanDuel and get to keep working with Kay and doing everything that we're doing now. It's been as I said, it's not exactly what I envisioned, when I was growing up. I wasn't sure what I knew I wanted to do something in football. And I thought for a while, it was going to be coaching, but this path opened up, and it's been so much fun to go down.
I absolutely love that. So I'm actually obviously a huge fan of the Up and Adam show. Your segments are always fire. Whenever I see you going off, I'm just like, man, you're crushing it. It's amazing. You and Kay have great banter. You have great chemistry. It's awesome. But above all, you guys do like a really good job of just being able to give really genuine sports takes that I think you're not cutting any athletes down, which again, it's hard to find people that don't do that these days. So I guess what's the experience kind of been like for you on the show, and what's been, I guess, your favorite moment working with Kay?
Yeah, it really has been great. And that's something that, we work really hard to do is, be when we are, because, obviously there's times you have to be critical. It can't always be positive, but to make sure that we're not tearing people down ever. You can criticize the game or criticize the play or the decisions without labeling somebody in a negative way, or making it, like, as you said, just shitting on somebody just for just to get views, which I think is what a lot of people do too. So that's something that's means a lot to us, and we always try to be as positive as we can and be as realistic as we can. But the experience overall, I mean, it's been awesome. Kay and I, FanDuel has let us do the show that we want to do, which has been awesome. They told us from the beginning, like, we have you guys here because we love what you did with Good Morning Football. We want you to do your show, and we're here to support you guys doing your show. So they really, they've let us do what we want to do with it and really make it the show that we want it to be and that Kay wants it to be. And that's really been the best part of it.
You guys are doing an incredible job too. So shout out to you guys. If any of the followers that are watching this right now haven't been tuning into the Up and Adam show, go do it. I do it. I watch it at 5 p.m. my time every night. So I'm so excited. I'm cooking dinner, taking care of the baby, watching you guys kill it on there. So I love it. I appreciate it. And you've obviously had the opportunity to chat with some really cool people, some incredible athletes and humans too. Is there kind of a favorite interview that you have that stuck out to you?
Oh, that's a great question. It's been amazing, especially this year. We've gotten so many great guests, and the weekly Debo spots are still are still my favorite.
So jealous.
Just because he's not going to mince words. You're getting his real feelings and opinions on stuff. And I know sometimes it's tough because the way when clips get posted, sometimes it's like, oh, like, they baited him or Kay baited him. No, like, if he has something to say, he's going to put it out there.
Yeah.
And he knows, like, this is his platform to do it. And if he doesn't want to speak on it, he's not going to speak on it. Like, if you watch the full interviews, you see that. And I know you do, when he doesn't want to say something, he doesn't say anything. So, but he's been, it's just been awesome to see his journey throughout this year. And as the season has gone on, and as the controversy with Brock has gone on, and as, the Niners hit that skid in the middle of the season, and, they've gone through their ups and downs, just getting that perspective from him every week, and just seeing how genuinely he feels about Brock Purdy, and how much he supports him, and how you can tell, like, there's a real love there between him and all his teammates. It's just been, I've never had an experience like that where we've had a guest, going back to Good Morning Football, where it's been a weekly guest like that that's on a current NFL team. So it feels like we've been kind of along for the ride with him and the Niners this whole year. And it's been really cool to experience that.
Yeah, you've taken us all too. So that's one of the main things. Tuesdays are my favorite. I used to watch Pat McAfee on Tuesdays, but now I've switched over to you guys because he had Aaron Rodgers, and, Aaron Rodgers is a character. I'll say that. But I mean, Devo's my guy. I have to support Devo. So I'm always with you guys for that. So obviously I'm really big on mentors in this space. I look up to you big time. I'm really happy that I actually have you on because like, this is just, I'm like, yeah, big time excited to be able to chat with you. I've noticed that your hustle and heart is in everything that you do. And I'm grateful that I have a front row seat to watch it. And I think it's really awesome that you're thriving and doing what you love. And yeah, it might have been a different path, but like you can just see like when you're on screen and even talking to you right now, you're very passionate about what you do. So is there a person that I guess has played a big inspiration in your life, whether it be in sports or even beyond in everyday life?
Oh man, it's tough. There's a lot of people along the way. You don't get to do what you want to do if you don't have other people that support you and believe in you and give you those chances. And obviously, like, Kay giving me the chance to do this here and, carving out an on-air role for me on her show. Whether it was, as I mentioned, Chase Daniel, getting to sit and learn with him and, go through practices with him and everything that he taught me along the way. And it's been fun reconnecting and doing more stuff with him now with Kansas City Sports Network. After all those years that he played in the league after we were together at Missouri. My parents, obviously, there's Rob Adams. I did an internship at a radio station in high school in my local town. And Rob Adams was the guy that gave me those shots and gave me those opportunities. So, and Sean Coffey at NFL Films, who brought me in on an internship to break down tape for him. It's all those people that, gave me chances along the way. And, it was it really was the influence of all those people that got me to this point and, gave me the opportunities.
You're crushing it. And honestly, I'm so proud of you. Every day I look at what you're doing and I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Thank you.
Also, I was watching the breakdown and I'm like, wow, like, your stuff. So like, kudos to you. And thank you for teaching me some of the game that I didn't know before. So I love it. There's obviously a really big game coming up this weekend, if you didn't know. The 49ers host your Lions. Actually, before I get into that, how did you become a Lions fan?
So I was a Giants fan growing up. I still have a little, little shout out to them. But I worked in the Lions scouting department in 2013. So that was when they had just gotten Reggie Bush and had all those stars in there, Calvin Johnson still and Sue and all those guys in there in the height of their primes. And Darius Slay was a rookie that year, so a lot of talent on that team. So got to work there, be around those guys, do some scouting for them. And unfortunately, it was one of those things, got there kind of at the wrong time when they went through a lot of transition with their coaching staff, front office, and didn't get to continue pursuing that. But yeah, so that was kind of my connection with the Lions. I loved my time up there. As I said, it was incredible being there and around so many phenomenal players, obviously Matthew Stafford as well. And just getting to watch those guys work every day, learn from them was a tremendous experience too.
I love that. So obviously, if you guys win this year, it's the first ever Super Bowl, which is huge. Of course, you guys, we have to get through us first. But as a fan, you being the fan of the Lions, what would a Super Bowl mean to you?
Man, it's hard to even speak for it because, again, I didn't grow up with it, but the getting to know that fan base and how passionate they are about that team, no matter what they've gone through, the 0-16 years, all of that, the passion for that team has never really wavered. But at the same time, I don't know if they believed that this moment would ever be happening for them, or they would be this close again because of the way that things have gone over the years. So, I think for the people in that city and the fans really that they have around the country, it would be a highlight of their lifetimes. It really would be.
What do you think has changed in the time that you were there before until now?
It's a great question. I mean, a lot of it's coaching. I don't want to necessarily slander this, but Jim Schwartz, I think, needed to take a step back from head coaching and go through what he's gone through now and learn, go back to being a coordinator and learn some things. I think there were a lot of things that happened there that he would probably tell you right now he would take back as well. So getting Dan Campbell in there, I think, was a big part of it, and the leadership he's brought. Brad Holmes and what he's done as the GM. It really is, when you look at these last through his 3 seasons there and what he's done to rebuild that roster. It really is, it's tremendous. And I think he's finally now starting to get the credit. I don't think he really did up until really last week for what he did to rebuild that roster. But I think it's getting that management in place and really, I sense from the Lions ownership too, like they're letting their people do their jobs. They're letting these, they got the right head coach, they got the right GM, and they're letting them instill the culture that they want to instill there. And I think that's really critical. And it's been awesome to watch. It really has been.
It's huge. And honestly, I've been a mini supporter ever since I started watching, the Hard Knocks, Dan Campbell coming out there. Like, how could you not be passionate about this team after watching him? He's incredible. He actually also just won NFC Coach of the Year. But could you make a case for why he might deserve NFL Coach of the Year?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at what he's done with where this team has come from, and I think also the expectations, they had that hot finish last year. And for the first time ever, like they were kind of expected to win the division. And that's a lot of pressure that comes with that. And a lot of the time, the offseason team that we see hyped up, it doesn't pan out that way. And for him to, be able, it doesn't always carry over from one year to the next. So to make sure that what happened last year was able to carry over to this year. And I know it's coach of the year, so it's technically just supposed to be about this year. But again, like what he's instilled there over the last 3 years since he got there, he changed an entire culture that, I remember talking to people there. I was with Nate Burleson up in Detroit, and obviously with him on Good Morning Football, and he would say, he's like, there's just this feeling around there that nothing's ever going to change. Like you feel it in the building, you feel it in the facility, you feel it when you're around, and it's just Dan Campbell changed that feeling that had been lingering over that organization for 50 years. So I think, that alone is worthy of being coach of the year.
He's done some incredible speeches. He's very passionate at pressers. There's all these moments that I look at on social media, or whether it be in Hard Knocks when I was watching, and you're just like fired up after listening to him speak. Is there a specific Dan Campbell quote that has kind of stuck with you and I guess truly captures not only who he is as a coach, but also as a person?
I think the one that's been circulating the last week or so from Hard Knocks, where he's talking about just having more contact at practices and camp and just basically begging these guys, like, just trust me. Trust me. I'm doing the right thing for you. Buy into this and it's going to pay off. And you can tell just how genuine how genuine he is with everything he says, how much he fully believes everything he's telling these guys, and the passion that just shines through with every speech that he delivers. I mean, you want to go, just watching that as an outsider, you want to go to war for that guy. And I think that just really stood out to me because, especially now in the NFL, like guys want to hit as little as possible. They want the pads off as much as possible. They want it as low impact. And, he was able to convince these guys, hey, let's do it my way and it's going to pay off. And they bought in and you've seen the results.
And it's awesome because there were a lot of people that kind of, dismissed him because he didn't have that coaching experience. He was a player. They thought, what's he going to make of himself? Some pretty high up there people were talking about it. And I feel like he's definitely shut those people up. And I love to see that. Yeah. Obviously, I can't be cheering for them this weekend, but like in general, I've loved seeing what they've become, especially over these past 3 years. So looking at our side of the ball, Kyle's also up for Coach of the Year too. And I'll say the Purdy haters have kind of put a lot of Brock's success on the genius that is Kyle Shanahan. So I've seen the praise that you've given Purdy. How much of what we're seeing is Kyle?
I mean, Kyle deserves a lot of credit. I'm a fan of Purdy and on his own merits, but you have to give Kyle a lot of credit. I mean, he puts everybody in such a good position and in a position to succeed. And it was funny. I remember, I think it was the Minnesota Super Bowl. We had George Kittle on our set at Good Morning Football, and I was just talking to him off the air just about cool. Shanahan, because I've always been such a fan of Shanahan and his play calling. And he was like, dude, you don't understand. Like, he'll call a play and he'll tell me, he's like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. You're going to be open and you're going to score a touchdown. And he's like, and we're on the 40-yard line. And he's telling me we're going to score a touchdown. And then I go out there on my route, I turn around, I'm open, the ball's there, and I score a 60-yard touchdown. Like he sees everything before it happens. He knows what everybody's going to do. He knows So when you have a guy like that calling the plays for you, it does make a big difference. It makes a huge difference. when you have the talent that Brock has, of course, that makes a difference too. But this is what I'll say to all the people using that as a slight against Purdy. Tell me one quarterback that's been consistently successful that doesn't have a good play caller and doesn't have any talent around him. You need it all. You said in your intro, it's a team sport, and it really is. You can't exist as a quarterback if you don't have those things. It's not possible to do that and have consistent success. You look at any great quarterback that's ever played the game, they've had a support system around them. So as much as I do think Kyle deserves a lot of credit for what he's done with Brock, it shouldn't take away from Brock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you've gone to bat for him. I've seen some of it as of late, and I love to see it. I think a lot of people forget how young he is, and some of the stuff that he's doing is beyond impressive, just given his age and how long he's been in the league and all that. So I saw you kind of comment about this. So I do want to ask, what do you believe he's mastering as a young quarterback in the NFL?
I think just that understanding, like we saw the play, the McCaffrey touchdown, how the tight end's supposed to be in motion. He recognizes there's not enough time on the play clock, stops him from going in motion, calls the play, and it results in a touchdown. And I think there are a lot of young quarterbacks that you'd see in this league that would mess that up. They'd take the delay a game. They'd end up burning a timeout. They wouldn't have that command over the situation. And that's what it really is. I think it's that command over situations and knowing exactly what to do and what not to do, I think sometimes too, in certain spots. He has a command and a comfort level. Jimmy did a good job running this offense. And I hate to make compare because a lot of people make this comparison, and it's a direct one because we saw Jimmy operating this system, but we saw Jimmy do a good job operating this offense, but there were moments that were shaky. There were moments where the decision-making didn't seem to be the best. And with Brock, I'm watching those games, I feel like he's in command constantly, and he has a handle on exactly what to do in every situation. And that play was the perfect example of it, because I think, there are some prominent quarterbacks out there that a lot of people love that are very physically talented that are not doing that in that situation.
Yeah, his football IQ is incredible. When I saw that, I was like, did he just do that? Like, this is insane. And everyone's saying, had he not told the guy to stay, like, they would not have had a touchdown there. And I just thought that was really impressive. So I do wonder, like, how much of, the bad talk and like the negative stuff that's out in the media that the quarterbacks are seeing. And like, obviously Jared Goff, he's not been a stranger to it either. I watched a clip of him give it back to a reporter who was comparing San Francisco superstars. So the guys that he has on his team. And, there was another clip where they were asking, it was a radio show. They were asking him, have you heard Colin Cowherd say this, that? He's like, I lost you. You lost me at that. Basically, like, Colin Cowherd, I don't listen to anything he says. And so he's had an interesting journey as well. And I think a lot of people have doubted him, especially after the Rams went on to win a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. And they're thinking, obviously they won the trade there, right? So now Goff has his chance to kind of silence those haters too. If you could be in that locker room pregame and give him like a hype speech, the best Dan Campbell-esque form that you could give him, what would you say?
See, that's the thing. I don't like, we're seeing such a different side of Goff right now. And I'm glad you brought that up because he wasn't that way before. And I even watched his press conference the other day where they keep asking about growing up being a Niners fan, wearing Joe Montana's number. And he was getting pissed off. And like, I feel like he's kind of been that way this year. He's pissed off. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove everybody wrong. Like, I don't know that I would necessarily need to hype him up because I think he's there. And it is really cool to see him kind of come out of his shell because there was always that feeling when he was at the Rams that it's just, he's along for the ride. Like he has McVay, he has Gurley. He doesn't really need to do that much. He just has to not mess it up. And I think that chipped away at his confidence in a way. And I think the biggest person, I think you're right. I think he was listening. I think he heard those people that didn't believe in him. And I think his belief in himself wasn't there. When I talk about Brock Purdy and his certainty that he's shown, like I saw a lot of uncertainty out of Goff in his decision making, and that's not there anymore. And I think it speaks to what Dan Campbell's done with him. I think it speaks to Ben Johnson and the play calling that he has too in Detroit. But this is a totally different Jared Goff than the one that we saw in LA or even his first year in Detroit.
I saw after the game when they played the Rams, obviously defeating them and everything. And there was that in the locker room, Dan Campbell's like, you're good enough for us. You're effing good enough for us. And I just, you could feel that. And obviously I'm not a crazy fan of the Rams, like being in our division. They're our rival. I have to not like them. So I was like, yeah, this is firing me up. Like you can just see that he is a different person. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I think back to when he was with the Rams, and like he was just kind of there. Like it wasn't like he didn't have this personality to him. He just, showed up, did his thing. And I kind of saw that even in the beginning of Hard Knocks. And then he started to see his, he came out of his shell a bit, and I love it. And I have nothing bad to say about the Lions, honestly, because Goff, like, I just like seeing him thrive now in the situation that he's in. So, okay, I did see on Twitter, obviously, there are people that say some things, right? I saw this guy that goes by Detroit Illustrated on Twitter. He compared a bunch of the stars on their team to ours. So he says Goff is better than Purdy, Panay is better than Trent Williams, Amon-Ra is better than Debo and Ayuk, Gibbs is better than CMC, and Hutch is better than Bosa. So I'm not sure if any of my bias is coming out, but like there's a couple of those I definitely don't agree with. Looking at the Lions overall, which position do you feel the Lions have the advantage, and where did they fall short?
Yeah, I think when you look at the offense, no one is better than Trent Williams. I don't know that anybody that's ever played left tackle is better than Trent Williams in the history of the sport. So we'll start there. But I think overall, as a whole, the Lions' offensive line, I think, is a little bit stronger than what the Niners have. And I think when you look at the pass catchers, I think the Lions have a lot of depth. Obviously, Amon-Ra is great. I don't think Amon-Ra, I don't think he's better than Debo or with what we've seen from Ayuk this year. I think with Ayuk, it's arguable. They're, I'd put them around the same level, but I think there's a little bit more, like we saw when Debo went out. Jennings stepped up big time. I was really impressed with the game he had. He's blocked his ass off all year. It was awesome to see him get a chance to catch some balls and do what he did. We saw Chris Conley come in and make a big catch in there.
That was huge.
But I think, like, overall, I think the Lions have a little bit more depth there with their pass catchers. They're a little more well-rounded. Once you get past Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds steps up and makes so many big plays. Jameson Williams, obviously a former first-round pick that's there. Khalif Raymond's been hurt, but he's there. We've seen so many guys just step in and make plays for them. So I think in the depth department, they have a little bit of an edge there. As for the Hutchinson comparison, I don't think you can say he's better than Bosa yet at this stage. Maybe, maybe by next year, maybe in a couple of years. But I don't think that's fair either. But the Lions, the Lions definitely have a really talented roster, and I think better than people gave them credit for coming into this year. And it's closer to what the Niners have than I think anybody would have given them credit for coming into the year. I'll say that.
100%. Okay, so give me your 3 keys to a Lions victory over my Niners this Sunday.
I think one of the biggest keys is going to be if Purdy does make a mistake on it, you got to capitalize on it. We saw the Packers had a few opportunities where they could have capitalized and they didn't do it. You're not going to get many of them, so if he gives you one, you have to take advantage. And their DBs do like to gamble. They give up some yards, but they make some big plays too, so I think that's going to have to be one. I think they're going to have to get the run game going. We saw the Packers do that a little bit, have some success on the ground against the Niners. I think between Gibbs and Montgomery, that's going to have to happen. And I think Goff is going to have to play a really clean game. He can't turn the ball over at all if they're going to win this game, because I do think the Niners have the advantage here. I do think the Niners are going to win. So it's going to take perfect football from Jared Goff to be able to pull off the upset.
There was a quote that Fred Warner said that's kind of stuck with me, and it kind of fired me up for this weekend. He's like, we just need our offense to get 3 points, because other than that, we're not giving them anything. And I was like, whoa, like that's pretty ballsy to say something like that. He's got a lot of cockiness going into this weekend. I think we needed that, because we haven't really seen our defense step up the last little bit, at least. Like, we obviously have all these amazing dudes on D, and like I think that they could play a better game than what they showed us, especially last weekend. Aside from Dre Greenlaw, he was incredible, but I mean, like, the D needs to step it up in order for us to get the win, I think. And I think Purdy needs to obviously air it out and like not get into a slump by any means, like not have any of those picks that are almost picks that people are going to rag on him forever about, so we'll see how it goes.
And hope it doesn't rain, because I think
it's not supposed to.
Yeah, because I think, honestly, and that's the thing, again, everybody waiting to just shit on Purdy and waiting for him to mess up. Like, I think people overall just are underrating how much that played a factor in everything, because it's not, having worked with a lot of with a lot of quarterbacks, everybody responds to the rain differently. And again, it's not an excuse. It's something that he has to figure out how to manage later on. But physically, it obviously affects you with his grip. We saw it with the towel, with him wiping his hand mid-play, but also mentally it affects you when you don't know how the ball is going to come out of your hand consistently. It messes with your confidence and your ability to make some of those throws over the middle. So I honestly, truly believe his struggles in that game were 100% related to the rain and the wet ball.
I know, and other people were like, oh, well, Jordan Love didn't struggle, so you can't use that. And I'm like, okay, but Green Bay is a lot more disgusting. Yeah, but like think about the weather too, right? And yeah, his hands are what, like an inch and a half more bigger than his? I don't even know what it is. People are going off about hand size. Apparently it mattered. So size does matter. Okay, lastly, I like to end on kind of a feel-good vibe because like as females in this industry, I look at what you're doing and, you know, alongside Kay, obviously it's like my dream job, but of course, it can be tough for women in sports. And I've had my moments where, you know, I feel like I don't belong here. Like even this last little bit, I was kind of taking a break from the podcast just because there were some people in the DMs just saying things, you know, and like, of course it can weigh on you a little bit. But I didn't let it stop me this week. So I'm like, nope, got to talk to Matt. We had this plan. We like talked about this a while ago. And we're like, if it happens, if the playoffs happen, we're doing this. So thank you again. But given the experience that you've had, and even, I guess, working alongside amazing badass females in sports, what advice do you have, I guess, to like a female like me, or even others that are, you know, in this industry to just keep going?
Yeah, I mean, it is tough, and I've gained such an appreciation for how tough it is working with Kay because, you know, I see it, I see the comments, I see, you know, the way that her opinions are treated differently sometimes than men's in the industry. And you know, it's eye-opening, you know, to be a part of it and be around and see it every day. And I think, you know, one of the things, as you mentioned, it's just with the comments, it sucks that it has to be this way, but having that thick skin and pushing through and not listening and understanding that those people that are commenting negative things are jealous that you're in the position you're in, getting to do this and talk about it and, you know, do what you love, you know, and have your platform. And two, a lot of the time they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. And just understanding that. And again, and finding the positive, leaning into the positives, leaning into the people that are appreciating what you're doing, leaning into the other people in the industry that are going to support you and have your back and build you up. So I know, you know, some days are going to be tougher than others with it too, but just keeping your head up and, you know, leaning into the positives.
Amazing. Matt, you're awesome. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for joining me. Honestly, like this was fantastic. Everything I dreamed of and more. Will you actually, one more question. Will you be in Las Vegas for Media Row and everything this year?
I will. We are going as a show. Yeah, we'll be there the whole week.
That's awesome. Okay, if the Niners somehow beat your Lions, like if we think that's going to happen, I'm going to actually be there. I don't know if you heard me say that at the beginning. I'm flying there. I'm not going to book my flight unless it happens because like it's just crazy from Italy to go there. But I am going to fly in for the game, and I owe you a beer for this, so we have to meet up. Where can everybody follow you on social media? Oh, I have it there anyways, but just say it.
Oh yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at MattHamilton25, and of course watch Up and Adams every morning, 11 a.m. Eastern on FanDuel TV on our YouTube channel. And if you want to listen to Chase Daniel and I break down Chiefs, the breakdown on Kansas City Sports Network, we come out every week, break down the film on the Chiefs, every game the Chiefs have. So if it's a Niners-Chiefs Super Bowl, you're probably going to want to dig into that Chiefs film and get a sense for what's going on in Kansas City side of things too.
Is that who you think it's going to be, is Niners Chiefs?
I think the Ravens find a way. That team's so complete. I'm never counting out Mahomes, you know.
Yeah.
Never count out Mahomes, but I just think what the Ravens have going on right now is special, and I think we get that rematch, which I really want to see.
Either way, if it's the Niners in there, we get a rematch. And like, I don't know if my heart can take another loss, so we'll see what happens. Like in my time as a fan, I've witnessed both losses of those two teams, and like, not fun for me, but it is what it is. We're putting the good vibes out there, silver linings, right? As long as we get a good game. Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate it again, and good luck to your Lions this weekend. We'll be in touch, I'm sure.
Thank you. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Okay, take care. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so stoked for this weekend. I can't even imagine that we're potentially going to play in the Super Bowl after this. I don't even know how to compose myself. I'm going to be staying up late for the game, which To me, it's actually not that late. In Italy, it'll be on at 12:30 a.m., which is not that bad. Normally, I'm watching games that are like, if it's the primetime game, it's 2:15, which I'm drinking espresso shots and having espresso martinis if I'm not really taking care of the baby that night. So this is going to be a big one. I'm hype. I'm going to literally go on a live situation. If they end up winning this NFC Championship game, oh, this should probably get taken off. I need somebody to be in control of my producing and everything. I kind of am a one-woman show, so it's a little ridiculous. But yeah, if they do end up winning this weekend, which, you know what, I'm not counting the Lions out. I think they've got an incredible team. They are all grit. That's literally what their hashtag says. I believe in Dan Campbell. I think he's an amazing dude. Watching the Hard Knocks, I had a soft spot in my heart, and I didn't think it was going to get to this point where we'd be playing them. And now we are, so I have to cheer against them. But I will say that all the interactions I've had, I have some really awesome Twitter friends that are Lions fans, and they've been amazing. Everybody online has been really, really great to me. So there's nothing I can say about them. It's not like, the Seahawks fans or the Cowboys or Philly. But I will say that either way, I'm just hoping for a good game this weekend. Of course, I want our guys to come out on top. We've got some dogs. We'll see. It's going to be the 49ers versus the Lions, the dogs versus the Lions. I went off about Brock Purdy earlier, and I could literally continue to go off. There's so many things. But remember, if anybody counts you out, this is just me going on a little bit of a rant, but if anybody counts you out in anything that you're doing and anything that you're going after in life, just think of Brock Purdy. Think of how much he had to overcome in order to get to where he is as the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. All those things had to go right in that Swiss cheese effect. I watched him be drafted in Vegas, and this could be a full circle moment where he's back in Vegas. Well, he wasn't there. He was at home with his family, but he's in Vegas and he's proving all those doubters wrong. And he is not Mr. Irrelevant anymore. He's relevant as fuck. This is only his second season. Imagine he went to a Super Bowl. Come on. That's the underdog story. That's everything. I know the Lions, they've never won it. And of course, yeah. But given the hate that Brock Purdy has had, this is a story for everybody like me. Anybody in this world that's had doubters, that had haters, that's had people that haven't believed in them, that think that they can't get to where they want to go in life. Brock Purdy is that guy. If you look at what he's done and what he's doing, you should be praising the hell out of this guy, because he is the little guy's dude, he's people like us that are just wanting to make it in this world, and he's doing that. He gives a lot of hope to all those people out there who are just looking for a dream to catch their own dreams, right? So he could be in the Super Bowl. That's crazy. Not many people at, second year in the NFL, first year as a full starter, sorry. He's literally in the NFC Championship game for the second time. Pretty crazy. Okay, I hear my baby crying. I love you guys. I'm so pumped. I know there's all these comments going off. Oh my God, you guys are so amazing. Paul, thank you for being here. DJ Ramon, Riley, you guys are amazing. Okay, we are putting all the good vibes out there, because if I get down to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas, I'm going to be live reporting everything. I'm going to be doing all this content and stuff, and keeping you guys in the loop. And who knows, maybe I end up at the Super Bowl. If anybody wants to send me some, PayPal. No, I'm kidding. I would never do that. I'll find my way in, maybe my own way. But anyways, I love you guys. You're amazing. Keep that good energy. Let's support the hell out of Brock Purdy. Whatever happens Sunday, we've got his back. You know what I mean? This is a good team that we're playing. We're not going to shit on him by any means. I love you guys. You're amazing. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and go Niners, baby. Yeah. Peace.